Welcome, Carm Capriato, the Service Aftermarkets Podcast Pioneer, with the gold standard of aftermarket business podcasts. Join me for Aftermarket Insights as we advance the aftermarket. And as always, know that you'll learn just one thing. Find us on your favorite podcast listening app and RemarkableResults.biz or on my YouTube channel. Hey, everybody. Welcome, Carm Capriato, Remarkable Results Radio. Thank you so much for being here. Sometimes called the pioneer of aftermarket podcast. Started this about 9.5 years ago when podcasting was in its infancy. We continue to drive really good, great content for advancing the aftermarket. Hey, we're going to be at ASTA, in Raleigh, North Carolina, ASTAexpo.com, ASTAexpo.com, September 26th through the 28th, sponsored by NAPA Tracks. Both my daughter Tracy and myself are going to be doing a class. Check out what we're doing on the ASTA site and maybe come to our class. Of late, since October is almost on our doorstep, I talk about Breaks for Breasts, the vaccine research that's going on at Cleveland Clinic for triple-negative breast cancer. It's in its trials, phase 1 of trials. Please get involved. breaksforbreast.com. We've recently done an episode to show you all about how it works. A lot of independents get into October by using this as a great community service. $1.8 million has been raised so far. So we appreciate all that you are doing. And just in case you have a position on the right to repair initiative that's going on in our industry and inside of Congress, repairact.com. If you're for it, it's recommended that you take 30 seconds at repairact.com and send an additional letter to your representatives in Congress. Again, we appreciate that. I am so excited to introduce Aubrey Amborn. Hi, Aubrey.
Hi, thanks for having me.
I'm thrilled that I could have you because we have a marketing podcast on the Aftermarket Radio Network from Kim and Brian Walker, and that's their job to talk marketing. Every once in a while, I got to bring on somebody that can give us a little bit of a oomph or a push and support what Kim and Brian are doing. Aubrey is the director of sales for NetDriven. I am so happy to have you here. We want to talk about things like, does word of mouth work in an online world? I mean, God, I grew up with word of mouth, and now it's completely different. We're going to talk about how to accommodate the old generation. You're not talking about me, are you?
Talking about we, Carm, it's we. Don't let my looks fool you.
A very good political answer. I like that. Leveraging the playing field and a lot of other things. I want to start out with this very interesting question. Are the days of just having a website over?
They really are. Like, it's so funny because like, wait a minute, it's a website company and I do
Yeah.
websites. I've been doing it for 22 years, but websites they're still a necessity, they're still needed, but the whole, like, if you build it, they will come, that was a great movie from our generation, Carm, but
Yeah.
that was a movie. That doesn't mean that the people will come anymore, and so the days of just having a website and not actually doing things to get people to that website, that they're done. Enough of us are online now and enough businesses are online that just having that basic website isn't gonna be enough.
Okay, so it's in my hand, this black phone of mine, and I feel connected. And sure, I could do some great search and ultimately maybe find an AI person who wants to schedule my appointment. And I want to do some research, auto repair near me, and the website's critical and key. But what else then do we need? Do I have to be playing in the social media sandbox more than worrying about my website?
Well, here's the deal. We'll just start with search, Carm. So you just said, okay, well, I go to my black phone and I'm picking up my beautiful nude colored phone. These are the computers now, right? So computers are no longer just at the desktop or the laptop. They're in our back pockets, they're in our purses, they're in our backpacks, they're on our wrists. And we need to make sure that if someone's going to that device and looking for you, just having a website doesn't mean that they found you. It doesn't guarantee that. And so there's a pay to play method, and there's this whole thought process that you have to pay in order to show up. But Google, who I like to refer to as mama, and everyone wants mama to be happy, right? Google, she takes her cues based off of your online reputation. And so we know that 87% of consumers are actually doing their research before they come into the shop. And if you think that all of the customers in your area that could drive to you already know Carm's Auto Service by name, those days are gone. So you're kind of hoping and praying that someone finds you by saying brake job or I need a set of tires or whatever it is, right? But if they don't know who you are already, Carm, and they don't know about your business name, you're now like saddling up along everyone else that can be found for that search. And so let's just start at search. Like, are people being able to find you and your website and your business even when someone just searches for you, right? Like, that's the big thing. So we have to start there first. Then once they do search for you, what are people saying about you? Like, if they do find you and they do click on you, what are they saying about you?
I get it. Search engine optimization, SEO, it seems like that's what is like the Everest of everything you're talking about. Is that true?
It is. The organic search, which is again, that's what Google will naturally she gets her cues from directory listings, she gets her cues from reviews, she gets her cues from all the different places that you're found. So the way you show up by someone being able to just look for products or services or who you are, that's the first thing, and that's search engine optimization. I will tell you, SEO, like if it's a business that's like, well, I'm looking into SEO. SEO is the long-term gain. I look at SEO like a snowball. So the more it rolls down the hill and the more it starts to collect, the more it actually does work for you. But there's also the pay to play, which is going to be like your paid advertising. And so I always tell dealerships and service shops, like, look at search engine optimization as the same investment that you make for the physical store. Like, do you pay to merchandise your store quarterly? Are you putting a new roof on the store? Are you putting what sort of events do you do to get people to come to the store, right? And then pay paid advertising, like pay per click, that's gonna be like your radio ads, your newspaper ads, your mailers, all of those sort of things. And I think the more that shop owners can understand what does the digital world compare to with what they're used to on traditional advertising, because my background was also radio, newspaper, the traditional forms of advertising. And so the more that we can help shop owners understand and like equate the similarities between those things, I think it helps them create their budgets too. Like, what do I want to do if I'm trying to get more staff? Or let's say there's an immediate need and there's something that you want it now and you want it fast, then you want paid ads. If you're just trying to make sure that your reputation and like how you look as your business and the storefront, that's really SEO because that's something that you want to do continuously, something that always is kept up to date. And that's really what builds your reputation with Google.
You bring a great parallel up for many of us semi-mature shop owners
Yeah.
who painted and cleaned and had curb appeal, and that was an investment tangibly in their business. And what you're saying is, okay, you may continue to do that, paint the floor, paint the ceilings, new lighting, continue to do that, but you cannot forget about the investment you need to make in the digital world because
Mhm.
people need to see all the great stuff you're doing because you got to get them in there first. And in today's world, how are we getting them in there? That's your whole punch here. Don't, and
Right.
if you're going to do radio, great. God bless radio. Thank God it's still around and it still does
Right.
things because I was on the radio many years ago and I get what radio is all about. And here we are saying, if that's that untouchable thing, radio, can't touch it.
Mhm.
It's there. You can hit a dial button, but you still can't touch it. Same as SEO, same as web, same as search. And that, I love your point. You can't just set it and forget it.
No, it's so important to look at the website. I always say the website's a destination, okay? It's the online destination. And every shop has, I would say, 3 destinations. They have their physical store, they have their phone, and then they have their online destination, their online store. And the reason I even say the phone is all 3 of those things, those places, it's where people go to get information to make a buying decision. When someone picks up the phone, Carm, they're expecting to talk to someone that can answer their question, give them information. tell them what to do, right? When they walk into the store, they're expecting to have an educated service tech. They're expecting someone to know what they're doing. Here's the thing about the online destination though, Carm. It's open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. It never calls in sick. Get ready for my dad joke, unless there's a virus. But right? Okay, so it is actually, you are more exposed online, and you are exposing your business to more people that you will never have the chance to talk to than the people that would walk into your store. So, how you represent yourself online is almost even more important than how, let me say this, the way you represent yourself online is going to be the very thing that actually gets people into the seats, so to speak. So, we want clicks to become the brick and mortar sticks that people come into the door. And in the World Wide Web, Carm, people aren't driving all the way out to your store. And then if they can't like find what they're looking for, you know that you have a staff that's going to be able to help them. If they can't find what they're looking for, or they're not getting the information they're looking for on your online store, they don't have to get in their car. They just
Mhm.
back click out to the next business that they found in the World Wide Web, right?
Yeah. Yeah. You got me thinking here pretty good on the physical, phone, and online, those three particular destinations that you mentioned. And when you say phone to me, really have been doing a lot of research, talking to a lot of people in the industry, doing episodes. We have a bunch in the can, and we have futures planned about service advisor training and that whole
Yeah.
communication piece that is becoming so critical internally and externally. And if someone picks up the phone and does call you, they got to have a pretty damn good experience.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And more so, take it a step further, Carm. 87% of consumers right now would rather be able to have a text chat conversation.
Oh boy.
Mm.
Yeah, me too. That's what I want. Don't ask me why all of a sudden at my particular age do I appreciate text over anything. I don't know why.
Well, it's because you're doing things like this all day. So you and I both were not that far apart as far as like our season of life. And
Oh,
I'm
okay.
working. Isn't that nice? Don't you like
I
that?
like that. I
Okay.
like
So I'm a mother of two adult children. I have a 16-year-old son that kind of keeps me young. And then I have two little nietas, little granddaughters. I do
Ah,
this job for a living. I also teach yoga 3 days out of the week. I certify people all across the US. And my husband and I end up pastoring a church on Sunday nights. So I'm very
nice.
busy, very, very busy, right? It's not that I don't want to talk to people, and it's not that I don't want to go into the store, but as you can tell, I probably have a very limited amount of time. And
Yeah,
just like right now, Carm, you and I are on this conversation. If I needed someone to reach me, text is going to be the easiest way for me because I can't pick up the phone and answer it right now. I
yeah,
want to be able to answer them when it's convenient for me. So, speaking of text and chat, when you have a website, an online destination, are you providing all the different ways that someone wants to communicate with you? And trust me, I've been around a long time. Like I said, my first, I think, sales in this world was to a tire dealer. We had to talk about how to work his mouse. Like, I remember walking him through all the things. So it's
oh,
been a long time, right? And so we want to make sure that all the different ways that consumers want to be able to correspond with you, if they want to call you, make sure that when they call you, Carm, the correspondence is good. Make sure it's professional. You answered their question, you got back to them right away, and they feel really good about that. If they want to email you, you have to make sure that you're
yeah,
providing that
yeah,
you're
yeah.
corresponding to them that way. And if they want to text you, man, you have to make sure that you have a resource or a way to be able to offer that correspondence with them as well.
I think about my great friend Chris Cloutier, autotext.me, which is now called autoflow.com. And Chris was so way ahead of that texting thing. And to your point, if I get a text right now, even though my phone is on mute here because I'm in the studio with you, as soon as I get out, I see either a piece of information, I sense a level of urgency. I don't have to go out and listen to a message over my phone. I don't have to go back and find out who may have called. I actually can see it's almost a singular communication tool instead of the phone and messaging. But today, I mean, God, who would have ever thought from AT&T all those maybe 100 years ago, who knows, I can't remember how long the phone's been out, that the phone would become almost irrelevant as a communications tool, because texting, even though you need your phone, to your point, You need your
Right.
phone for the texting. It is a
Right.
completely seamless, quick, fast, and almost intimate way to communicate.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I remember when I was at SEMA last year, because I spoke there and I had a gentleman come up and he was like, okay, I have to tell you something. I know you talk about text, but I feel like I'm being super intrusive. Like I don't want someone texting me. And I was like, I get you. I feel you. Totally with you. But if I am volunteering my number, and just because that seems intrusive to you, for me, it's actually way more convenient. Let's make sure that we're not putting ourselves in a box. Let's make sure that we're not actually only doing business in ways that we're comfortable doing business. Because the only picture I can give and paint there is that would be like saying, okay, there's 100 people outside your store, and you're getting ready to open the store doors and you say, okay, I'm only going to let these 70 people in because these other 30 people are doing business or they're used to doing business in a way that I'm not super comfortable with, or I'm not used to, or I'm not into text, or I'm not into chat, or I don't even think I need to have a website, right? Would you ever close the door on 30 people because you didn't necessarily agree with them or you didn't necessarily see the world through their lenses? No, you would still let them in. You would still want their business. The only reason you would close the door on someone is if they came in and made your life hell, right? Like
I
you'd be like,
I'm with you, and I can't stop my mind from traveling miles a minute when I'm interviewing people. And you just made this most important analogy to me, and that is, well, don't need a website. So here I am sitting with my wife saying, you remember we were driving out in the country and there was this really cool restaurant. I mean, there were like 50 cars there. It's got to be good, even though it was in this really crazy small town. Do you remember the name or the town? And if I typed in restaurant in X city, and they were smart enough to have a website, smart enough to do good SEO, this small little no wonder why it may have 50 cars. My thought was the relevancy of making sure that you've got your entire digital realm in play and you don't kick those 30% out, like you said, the 30% who want to be texted to, who want to be able to do the right kind of search in their own world. And then I think you're in a meeting, you're at church, you're with family, crisis happened, you just pulled into a hospital because there was an emergency, but you're still working your life, and there is an important reply that you have to make for the sake of client, friend, something. And it's so
yeah.
easy, 3, 4, or 5 different words can solve relationships and issues. So you're right. We cannot ignore it
Mm-mm. We really can't. And the pandemic, which a lot of us don't want to go back to that thought, but
ever.
but what it did, we had been saying for years that eventually they're all going to go online. Like we kept saying that over and over again. And I had so many of my old timers that were like, nope, I'm good. I'm good. I'm like, okay, well, I love you. I'll call you in a year. And the pandemic really kind of we saw like 3 to 5 years worth of what we had projected growth happen in 1 year. Why? Because we couldn't leave our homes. We were forced to be online. Even Uncle Steve, who's in his 70s, was forced to get on his phone and start using the World Wide Web, right?
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
he couldn't leave the home. So if it when that happened, I mean, to be honest, those of us who are in the World Wide Web as far as a work zone, we were like, "Sweet, we told you. We told you it was going to happen. It just happened a lot faster than we thought it was, right?" But to think that people were going to go backwards after they learned how beneficial and easy it was to buy their groceries online, do you think that they're racing out to the grocery store again? Like a lot of people are now ordering groceries. They order their clothes. You can get Amazon on your doorstep the next day or the same day. So it's not like people, once they figured it out, that the World Wide Web was a way that they could get what they wanted faster. It's not like they're going to go backwards. And so even that Uncle Joe, who maybe does still prefer to go into the shop and drink coffee and pet the shop dog, right? But the minute he goes and tells his niece Maria, "Hey, you should go see Carm's Auto on 27th because you really need to have your front end looked at, Mija." What do you think Maria is the first thing that she's gonna do, Carm? She's gonna listen to Uncle Joe, but what's the first thing Maria's gonna do? She's gonna Google. She's gonna Google that shop on 27th, and she might listen to Uncle Joe, but at the same time, she might turn on and be like, "Uncle Joe, they don't even have a website. Like, how reputable is this business? And so even though Uncle Joe isn't the person that may be surfing the World Wide Web as much as millennials, he's still doing it since the pandemic. And he's an influencer. He's
Yeah.
telling those young ones to go and look at this shop.
Hey, it's no secret. We're facing a technician shortage, and NAPA Auto Care has a solution with the NAPA Auto Care Apprentice Program. The program was pioneered by one of our own. Pete McNeil and Master Technician Jake Sorensen from McNeil's Auto Care in Sandy, Utah, realized that the problem of not having technicians available for hire was not going to solve itself and decided to take action and look at a different audience of individuals available for hire. A focus was put on younger individuals with the right passion, desire, and attitude to work in the automotive repair industry. Jake and Pete sought after these individuals and developed a technician apprentice program to give them the training needed to become a successful technician in today's world. The NAPA Auto Care Apprentice Program includes a comprehensive 9-stage curriculum that includes a variety of types of training, and they are classroom training videos exclusive to the apprentice program. Now, these videos provide in-depth training from a successful master technician. Also, Autotech classes with instructor-led courses offered through NAPA Autotech and Autotech e-learning. This web-based e-learning is designed to target specific training topics. And finally, hands-on learning. The apprentice will apply the skills gained from the classroom training videos, Autotech instructor-led training, and Autotech e-learnings in the shop with the guidance of a mentor. The apprentice program curriculum is competency-based, meaning an apprentice can move through each stage at a pace that best suits them. Most apprentices complete the program within 2 years. Upon completion, apprentices will have earned ASE G1, A4, A5, and AC certifications, adding industry validation to the skills an apprentice acquires. Look, having an apprentice in your shop will ultimately benefit your bottom line as they advance through the program. And in most cases, as the apprentice develops their skill set producing billable hours, you'll begin to see a growth in your gross profit by stage 5. One of the largest barriers to entry for individuals looking to enter the automotive repair industry is the cost of tools. Now, keep your apprentice motivated with an apprentice toolkit. Now, NAPA Auto Care has worked with our supplying partners to offer an exclusive comprehensive tool set, including a 4-drawer tool card for all registered apprentices. Hey, to learn more, members can visit member.napaautocare.com. Now you're into our word of mouth thing that I know we want to talk about, but I also suggest, here's me. Someone says, you got to go there. I said, okay, cool. I'll remember it. I'll go to my phone. I'll do a search. I want to see this place. I can judge from the outside. If the outside looks, the inside may look as bad as the outside, right? Or vice versa.
Right.
If this looks like a professional place worthy of that, I feel I'm going to buy good groceries or whatever it is. If it's a cool little niche style bakery, does it look like a hole in the wall on the outside? Because I may get a hole in my donut if I go in and buy. And I think that visual reputation that we get when we're searching for stuff on our phone, which is why you have to have a website, which is why you've got to have your mother Google's, business page set up. I can't believe you call Google Mama.
Everyone wants mama to be happy. That's why I call her mama.
Oh my God, that's so funny. So this whole word of mouth thing, more critical now than ever, huh?
Here's the thing. So I'm going to spit some facts at you.
All right.
61% of consumers read online reviews before ever making a decision to even visit the store or call the store. 36% of consumers said that their social interaction or what people said about that business on social media influenced their willingness to consider them. Y'all, people are looking at what people are saying about you. So I will never argue with a business owner that tells me, look, girl, I've been doing this business for 40 plus years. I get all my business word of mouth. I say praise. I believe you. I trust you. I'm not disagreeing with you. But word of mouth is no longer just what people say around the water cooler. It's no longer what people are saying at the barbecue because a lot of us are working remote. A lot of us aren't even walking into an office. When you're asking about who should I go to for this or that, what people say about you online is now the word of mouth. If you aren't getting reviews, that's a factor. If you are not responding to those reviews, the good, the bad, the ugly, that's a factor. And one of the questions I get a lot of times from shop owners is, so What can we do to get rid of the bad reviews? And I say, don't get rid of the bad reviews. Because to be transparent, if I go to a business and I see that they have perfect reviews and there's nothing negative, I don't, I start to question how transparent are they being.
But
I'd
Mother
rather see.
Google's not going to rate you if you're perfect, I think. Don't they want to see some vulnerability?
She wants to see the truth. Mama knows, okay? She knows. What is more important to mama is how did you respond to the negative review? How did you handle yourself? I actually have some really fun screenshots that show how some of you shop owners respond to reviews, and it's quite comical. It's pretty fun.
Mm,
We always say handle the negative offline, but always address and pay attention and
yeah.
acknowledge. Acknowledge everybody right away, handle the negative offline.
I love it. You're bringing up such a great thing about online reviews versus the way we used to do it. The old way was, word of mouth and at church and the community events and all the things
Mhm.
that we're with our children, our grandkids, our family about. And when you say that online is as powerful as a word of mouth, we all have to ask ourselves this one thing. Ann and I were looking for, we've got some moss on one of the sides of our roofs that we don't
Mhm.
get a lot of sun at. And we saw or heard about a product that would over 2 or 3 weeks work to get rid of it. And the rain and the wind would, after the moss was killed, it would kind of go away. And I says,
Mhm.
oh my God, this is a miracle product. I love it. So I went online to look to buy it and I found it on Amazon, but I wasn't going to click and buy it. I scrolled to the bottom, and
You sure did.
sometimes my fingers got to work like 9 times to get there, but I
Right,
scrolled to the bottom and I started to read what people were saying. I did not look at the stars as much as I was looking at the words.
right.
That's truly word of mouth. And then I had to start watching some videos to even help me even more. So the power of what those product reviews are on a site like Amazon, I they have shaped a lot of decisions that I've made. And to your
That's right.
point about that digital presence, it's just you gotta work it. It's like weeding a garden.
Absolutely, and here's the thing, mama, she changes the rules all the time.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
it's not like she makes it easy on us. She really doesn't because there really is always changing. There's
But
always a new
is it a
rule.
revenue get, or are they do they continue to learn that there's better algorithms to have?
Well, I'm so glad you said that. What I was gonna say was that so Google cares more about your consumer than the business owner. So
Okay.
she is
All right.
always there to accommodate the consumer. Her goal is to always accommodate the consumer, which means it kind of always makes it harder for the business owner. You're constantly having to jump through hoops because, again, the pandemic, not only was it good for companies like us, it also put a lot of pressure on companies like us because any digital company out there, anyone that does any sort of digital marketing, website, SaaS, any of that, the pandemic made it harder because now we have to try to keep up with people that are online more frequently. So they're trends. They're like, oh, it's like Burger King. We want it our way. We want it fast. We want it fast. We want it easy. We want it our way. We have very high expectations as online consumers. And so, what Google is constantly doing in her job is to say, how do I make it easier and easier and easier and easier? And trying to keep up with that is really hard. And I think where my heart is, and it's always been, I always say I'm partner friendly, but I'm pro dealer, I'm pro shop owner. I care so deeply about the level of success that a shop owner has and feels, right? That I understand how difficult, how frustrating it can be to try to keep up with the expectations of an online shopper. And in that way, it can seem so incredibly overwhelming. It can seem like no matter what I do, I'm never going to win. And it's also really intimidating because a shop owner is like, there's no way that I could compete with so and so. I'm not trying to get you to compete. Here's the deal, you are never going to compete with an Amazon and eBay, any of those things. You're never going to be able to compete. What we want to do is leverage the playing field and we want to keep loyal customers loyal. We want to avoid loyalty transfer. If you've been in your community for a long time and you have the beautiful word of mouth and you have the loyal customer base, what we don't want to do is we don't want to give them a reason to have to go look on the
Bingo.
World Wide Web,
Yeah, bingo,
right?
100%. The customer experience that you provide your customer is designed at this highest level to create loyalty. But if by any chance, through word of mouth or their own research, they find some negativity online, no matter how good of an experience they had, no matter how much they may love you,
Mhm.
you may hurt yourself.
Yeah. And here's the thing, there's always gonna be that bottom 10% of people that you can never make happy.
That's right.
Like, there's always gonna be that,
Yeah.
and as long as we all know that and we accept that, we're not speaking to those 10%. We're speaking to that middle, like, we'll even say that
The
50%.
opportunity zone.
Yeah. Like, there's that is it Miller's Law where you spend 80% of your effort focusing on 20% of the potential? Like,
Pareto.
okay, that's what it is. There's a couple different ways of saying those things, but you want to look at what is spend 20% on 80% of the potential, right? Like, who are the people that you're not? And I think where the blind shop owners need to know that they do have blinders and they have blind spots, and to try to partner with companies, people, partners that can help you know where your blind spots are and shine the lights in those areas and work alongside you to do it in a way that does feel good to you. And so when we talk about step 1, website, yeah, but that's like step 1, have a business, right? So if you have a store and that store is not on a major highway, what are the things that you did to draw attention or drive traffic to the physical store? You probably got some billboards. You probably did some advertising. You probably did some events. You might have had to actually build an actual like driving, you had to build a street. Maybe you had to build it in a way for people to get to you easier, right? So think about the more that you can look at the website like your physical store and try to see all the different things that you did to drive traffic into that store and keep the traffic. Now, it's not just about car counts, Carm. It's also about I've talked to a lot of shop owners nowadays that are like, I can't keep up. Aubrey, I'm not trying to get more business. I can barely keep up with the business that I have, right? Then what can we do to look at attracting the business that has the higher average repair order? What
Yep.
can we do to get the business that you want? If you're not trying to get, you're never going to say no to an oil change. We all know that, right? You're never going to say no to anybody. But what can we do to increase the services that you're getting? What are you doing to go and get more of the decline services? What are you doing to try to a lot of these business owners think that it was just to get the buns in the seats. What did you do to foster that relationship so that they know to keep coming back to you? What sort of communication are you using your CRM to go after those decline services? Are you using your the CRM or the services that you have to go and say, "Hey Aubrey, it's your birthday." I love that, Carm. I'll just have you know, I love getting my text around anything that I gave my number to, and they're like, "It's December 21st. We know
Ain't
it's your
that
birthday.
sweet?
Here to get you this," right? That's gonna get me back. I didn't even think about anything. I wasn't thinking about that business. I wasn't thinking about needing anything at this point. But you said happy birthday. And now I'm like, well, maybe I do need something. Maybe
All
I
right,
do wanna
stop.
look
I have to ask you the burning question. Since your
okay.
birthday is so close to Christmas, did they always combine it or not?
Let's not go into the childhood wounds, Carm.
Okay.
Let's
All right.
not go
Okay.
into no, not true. No, for me, yes. My brother who was born on the 29th of December, no. I
Oh,
don't know how that worked, but they did. They always combined it. But you know what? I always say I'm a winter solstice baby. So I was born on
okay.
the
Yeah.
longest, the darkest day of the year. My husband always says, "You were born on the shortest day of the year. You're tiny. It makes sense." And I was like, "But you know what? What it means is that every day after, there's gonna be more light." So I've always chosen to look at it that way, that
Oh,
every day after the day is more light.
what a great, incredible, what's the word I'm thinking of? A positivity thing.
Yep.
Yeah. I didn't say that quite right, but you know what I meant.
I know
Hmm.
what you mean.
Yeah. I love where you're going with this. I think there's so many golden nuggets here. Did we cover this thing about, grabbing our more senior people? Do they have a different methodology of looking for clients? Do they rely on their kids, their friends for word of mouth? Are they savvy, tech savvy enough with their own phones to do this kind of research? Or are they all about community and supporting local?
Here's the thing. I think there's like 3 primary personas when it comes to how businesses have their customers. I think there's 3 primary personas when it comes to customers. I'm gonna say it's your loyal customer. A lot of those loyal customers, they were born and raised in a time where if you have good business, you stick with that. There's no need to look around. They did right. They did right by you, right? A lot of times, those are the people that maybe is an older generation. They probably aren't super tech savvy, but they're really good at keeping up with their services, right? So they don't need the reminder. They know they need to get their oil changed. They know they need the alignment. They know how frequently they need to go in there. But their shopping habits is they are seeking reliability. They're seeking comfort in familiar services. They prefer a personal relationship that they've built over time. So they really expect that any communication you have with them is very personalized. They don't want a canned response from you. They want to know that you know them because they're a loyal customer. And the opportunity there is to really increase the amount of money that loyal customer is spending with you. You're going to want to do things like loyalty programs, special discounts, and really personalizing the services. So that's how you're going to want to treat the person that is, well, you said it before, the more mature audience, the people that had
Mhm.
already built business with you. So for them, it's going to be making sure that they feel like you're giving them a tailored message. As far as the next persona, I would say that's me. I'm in mid 40s. Again, I'm a mother. I have a career. I do a lot. I get groceries online, but I'm also someone that is still very pro local. Like I ride motorcycles and I'm like, buy where you ride, make sure that you're taking care. I'm very much like local business. I want to
Mhm.
really promote the local business and I am that. And I would prefer to buy local first, but I'm going to do the research and see if you have it before I come into the store because my time is very limited. So my time is precious. I'm done with my yoga class by 6:30, which means most businesses, I'm only maybe have tops an hour and a half to
Mhm.
do business with you in the store. So I want to make sure that the time that I actually have out of my home after working and doing what I need to do, I need to maximize that. So I have very limited time. I'm going to seek convenience. I'm also going to seek convenience when it comes to my shopping experience. And I kind of am the type of person that desire easy to use services. So even though I'm promoting local business, I probably am going to go in and try to self-diagnose my issue. Even though I'm not the person, I understand that, like, even though I have this idea of, oh, it sounds like it's doing this, so maybe it's that. I want to kind of be able to budget and plan for a big repair job if and when I'm able. Obviously, that's not always the case. Sometimes someone needs something right away, but the opportunity with someone like me is attracting me by giving me tools, giving me a lot of self-help type stuff, and also make it really easy for me to correspond with you. So online scheduling, really fast customer support. I'm not gonna take your phone call, but I will answer your text. That's really the way to target someone like myself. I am pretty tech savvy and I'm gonna need things easy, fast, flexible, and I wanna be able to kinda do it myself. So that's like persona number 2. And then I would say persona number 3, these are the millennials, okay? They're very tech savvy. In some ways, they're shop owners' worst and they probably don't love them because they're like, "I want it now, I want it now, I want it now." But honestly, they're the people that have they're traveling quite a bit or they're always on the road, they're not loyal. They're the ones that need to be able to find you because you were closest to them for the service and repairs that they need. So there's really not a lot of sense of loyalty there to any sort of specific shop. They're all about convenience. They're all about that. So they're going to look at the reviews a ton. The reviews are going to be on the high end, the low end, and in the middle. So that's where the review and the reputation, what someone says about you, that influences all three of them. But this person, as far as the opportunity, you wanna make sure that they found your business easily. You wanna make sure that what people say about you is totally, like, something that they can trust, and you have to have all the different ways of communicating. They need to be able to find it quick. They're the person that probably is gonna look for the tire or the service online right away. They're gonna look and see that price. They wanna be able to buy it now, and they wanna schedule their appointment now, and they wanna know that they can talk to you right now. Everyone else, Carm is, like, in between the 3 of those.
I gotta tell you, thank you for this. This was one heck of a 5-minute slap. I love it. You just succinctly put it together. And when I think about the millennial thing, Aubrey, they want it now. You sure you can do it? I'm not gonna be loyal. All about convenience. Your
Mhm.
reviews and reputations are so important. I want to trust you. Don't you think we can earn all of that? Don't you think we could help them with now? Don't you think we can maybe even show them an ounce that they could find some loyalty? It depends on what we do and what we say.
Absolutely.
Who should be afraid to say to a millennial, we've got a lot of long-standing great customers that have been loyal for years, and we hope we can earn that trust with you. Ooh, what a neat idea, because a millennial may not have that loyalty idea in their head,
Mhm.
except you put it there.
Right.
And I guess to your point, if we know what that personality, that those particular traits are, we can counter program or be
Yeah.
sure that we're in that house that they want to live in. We understand it. Now, many of us have millennial children that we can see and learn from. And anyway, I loved everything. And I go back to one of the interviews that we did with John DeJulius, incredible customer service author and consultant, and he talked about Ford, Ford, and I think with Gen X and boomers, family, occupation, recreation, and dreams. If you know
Mhm.
family, occupation, recreation, and dreams from an individual, they found someone who cares about them and their world, even
Right.
though it's still about automotive repair.
Yeah, right. Well, I you bring up such a good point, Carm, because even you nailed it. If you can get a millennial that is someone that actually they just moved into the neighborhood and they're looking for a service shop, if you get them and they come in and they have an excellent experience, they are going to lead the charge for you because they're going to tell everyone about it. And they're
Yeah,
going to do
because
it on their IG. They're going to do it on
yeah,
their Facebook. They're going to
yeah,
do it everywhere.
yeah, they're not afraid to go out and tell the world how good or bad it was.
Correct. Amen. That is exactly what we want. And if they had just a mediocre experience, but you come alongside them, let's say they're like, "Hey, went to Aubrey's Auto and it was great. Didn't really like this, but overall good experience." And I come back and I'm like, "Hey, Carm, thank you so much for the review. Thank you for taking time out of your day to give us this feedback. I would love to address this. Reach out to me. Otherwise, thank you so much again for taking this time." People pay attention to that, Carm. And now that one little thing, because you want that feedback. You want to know what are the ways that you can do better, right?
Yep,
You want
yep,
to know if you don't know, you can't fix it.
yep.
This is the way to use that to help you get better.
I think about all the brick and mortars that are closing. I mean, I'm sorry, just pick up the newspaper and read. There's another
Yeah.
J.C. Penney's and these stores, and they're going to close 300. We as consumers have forced that to happen, but the giant of Amazon and all the e-tailers have made that happen. Are we e-tailer proof? Yes, because it takes really intelligent, skilled labor working with our hands and our minds to
Mhm.
make that vehicle right. But what can we learn from that? And the learning curve that I have been so absorbing from you is that even though e-tailing is all about being online, we have to be the best we could possibly be in an online experience, even though we're going to be brick and mortar. And I'm not sure robots are going to fix these cars. And
Yeah.
I'm not going to be around. You're not going to be around when that happens. I mean, I think it's going
Mm-mm.
to be another 50 years before something like that even gets, even though we can think large about driving through tunnels and computers could potentially figure out everything that's wrong with the vehicle and it goes left and it gets fixed. Maybe someday. I wouldn't doubt it, but not in my lifetime. That is something I think we have to plan for, but not right now. This
Right.
whole e-tailing, brick and mortar, we're not going away, but we can't ignore the fact that we are recession proof or any kind of proof. We aren't. So it was very motivating. So many great golden nuggets. Do you have one great final you can leave us?
Keep your loyal customers loyal while always opening the door to whoever wants to check you out.
Yeah. Look for the new. You see, and they'll be looking for you and you won't know it.
Right. And just know that I tell salespeople all the time, Carm, don't sell out of your own checkbook. Okay.
Oh, that's it
Don't
right
don't
there.
sell out of
Yeah.
your own checkbook.
Yeah.
Don't do business only the way you do business. Don't close that door to the 30%. Don't close the door to the people that you're not comfortable with or that they don't shop the same way you do. Like make sure that you are allowing even people that you wouldn't normally like relate to. Their dollar spends the same as anyone else's.
You know, the kind of person that I would be on a service counter is if I said to the client, hey, we're going to text you this great overview of your vehicle and this great inspection that we're going to do for you. I don't text. Okay, no problem. Then how can I get you this information? Well, you got
Mhm.
email. It's not on your phone. I have a flip. It's not a high-tech phone. Okay, great. I'll give you a call. And here's what I would say next. If ever you would like to, say you get yourself a little more newer phone with a bigger screen, come in
Mhm.
and I will show you all about texting.
Yep,
Do you think that
absolutely.
person would ever forget that?
They would never forget that, and matter of fact, Carm, we have taken that similar concept and said, "Once you do get to this world, okay, put little iPads in your shop and let them browse your accessories while they're in the shop
Great
because they
idea.
because now they have your website in their face, they've seen it, so now when they leave, they're gonna go back to that website that they browsed while they were inside your shop. You trained them, you showed them. You showed them, "Hey, here's not just everything I have in my physical shop, this is everything I have access to, and now I'm letting you surf everything I have
Oh,
access to." That's a whole 'nother podcast,
it
Carm.
is. No, it
That's a whole
is.
'nother
And
podcast.
oh my God, we can go on for another half hour on that whole concept of put an
Yep.
iPad in their hands and
Mhm.
let them see what a inspection report, a maintenance
Yes.
report would look like. Let them browse. Ooh, I mean that. Okay. Well, we just fix cars. No, we don't. We build long-term relationships with
Correct.
clients and we meet them in their world where they live.
Absolutely, and we introduce them. Let You would much rather be the person that influenced their entrance into the World Wide Web and their experience with you than have him find it with someone else, and now you're trying to play catch up because they formed an expectation based off that. By the way, they already have an expectation because they're already shopping places like
Yeah.
Amazon and eBay,
Yeah.
but let's do that for another podcast.
Yeah, we will. Please come back. The sophistication of the client's experience, I guess, let's make an assumption that all the big people out there that compete in our world, multiple chain stores, they have to wake up one day and do a lot of what we're talking about. And don't think that one day they won't figure it out. And you need to be light years ahead and
Right.
live in that extremely important, stay up to date digital world. Wow. I just love this. You got me on every threaded word. I thank you so much, Aubrey Amborn, Director of Sales for NetDriven. Great legacy individual from the industry and smart lady. Thanks for being here.
Thanks, Carm. It's so good to be here, and thanks. I hope to see you again soon.
Yeah, I will.